All right, I already did this once, but it was way too long, and I just decided that I'm going to include one of the videos from fishing out on Lake Mead yesterday. So real quick, I wanted to do several things. A, talk about what I'm seeing on Lake Mead, and preface this video by saying I am no expert. I'm sharing what I'm seeing with my own two eyes and just giving you that information and letting you do with that what you want. So A, share with you what I'm seeing on Lake Mead. B, I wanted to share a tip on Senko fishing the Nico rig. And C, share something with you that I may or may not have came up with on my own. I'm sure somebody else has done this, and that involves a buzz frog. So I'll start off with A, what did it look like on Lake Mead on Sunday when I was out fishing? I fished in Government Wash, and there were boats everywhere. I'm fishing. I'm like 30 yards from the bank, casting to the bank, and these guys in a little V-bottom start coming at me, and they go between me and the bank while my line's in the water. And I'm like, hey. And he's like, oh, are they jumping? I'm like, dude, you're going on top of my line. He's like, oh, it's okay, don't worry. I'm like, dude, you got this whole lake. And he's like, oh, yeah, you got the whole lake too, man. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, dude, I was already here. I've been here for a good 5 minutes already. Whatever. I hope his prop fell off. I really do. Because, like, that stuff is ridiculous. I literally go out of my way in my kayak to paddle around people. You know, I don't know what the etiquette rule is as far as how close you can get to a boat. I generally try to stay at least 50 yards away from other boats as I'm moving around them if I see them. But this guy, I mean, literally cut right across where I was fishing and acted like it was no big deal. I don't know. Anyway, so other than that, there were quite a few boils. There were like 5 or 6 boats right on top of one right out in the middle of Government Wash. I was fishing inside of a small cove inside of Government Wash is where I started. There were quite a few smaller fish chasing shad. Within the first 10 minutes, I had 3 small fish take a swipe at my spook. None of those fish could actually hook up. And finally, before I left and went out into the main part of Government Wash, I did catch one, a small largemouth, and then I caught another largemouth. Right, so if you come into Government Wash off of the road, if you take Government Wash Road, you know, the ramp, and you go down to the lake, wherever you're at, if you go out into the main part of the wash where there's basically a rock wall that runs along the, I guess it would be the eastern edge of the main wash as it goes out to the main lake. I caught a fish right there, I don't know, a couple hundred yards down from where those knuckleheads cut right across my line. I caught one on a spook there. And then if you keep following that rock wall out towards the main lake, on the left, there's a pretty good sized cove that opens up. You can actually drive your car down in there if you come in off the 8 Mile Road, I believe, or 8.0 Road, whatever it is. 8 Mile. What is this, Eminem? Anyways, there were a lot of shad being chased around in that cove, and a lot of small bass. As a matter of fact, I caught 2 or 3 within 5 minutes on my spook in there. I had, it seemed like a bigger fish swirl at my spook right at the mouth of that cove. And as I got back in there, there was a lot of fish chasing shad. If I had to do it again, I would have stayed in there longer. I would have thrown some different shad type baits, but based on what it felt like the smaller fish have started to turn on. The weather's cooled down a little bit, and just feeling the water does feel cooler. I'd say another week or two, the water will be significantly cooler, and hopefully some of the bigger fish will move up and start chasing those shad around in the coves and stuff. Other than that, it was pretty non-eventful other than the 4 or 5 little largemouth that I caught, but they were all pretty chubby with shad in their belly. So they're starting to eat. Anyways, second thing I wanted to talk about was the Nico rig. So you take your Senko, you wacky rig it, and then you put a weight on the end of it. Now, you can buy special weights for this. They're called nail weights or little cylinder weights that you just shove into your soft plastics. If you're like me, you fish on a budget and you like to try to utilize what you already have. So the first time I tried this, I used little jig heads, and I literally just snipped the hook with the needle nose and stuck the jig head in the end of it, and it worked really well. The very first time I did this, and I actually caught a nice little smallmouth. Unfortunately, the second time I tried to do it, the jig heads kept coming out. I couldn't figure out what the problem was. So I was sitting on the bank for a little while because out in my kayak, my back starts to hurt, so I need to get out and stretch. And I realized, dude, why don't I just use what I already have? You know, I've got these little bullet weights, 1/8 or 1/16. I'm not sure how big this is. Either way, it's a great size. You can go one size up larger from this and still get it in there. So using the hole that you had already created, or a hole that you could create with any hook, just get a little hole started, take your little bullet weight or split shot, and just work it in. And it will go in, and the Senko, they're pretty resilient, they're pretty tough, stretchy, will close up around your weight, and it's in there. And I flopped this thing around a lot and it doesn't come out. So that's a great way to utilize what you already have instead of having to go out, spend money, and buy new stuff. For the Nico rig Senko, which, you know, works across the bottom standing straight up. I think it's pretty cool. Might not be that effective right now because the fish seem to be wanting to try to start chasing the shad. Anyways, the third thing was the buzz frog. So I took this buzz frog right here, this exact buzz frog. This caught a fish for me. It was a smallmouth. I literally took this buzz frog and I put it on a jig head. It wasn't a football head. It was just a regular old jig head with the weed guard. It was without the skirt, okay? I took this, put it on there, and all you had was the jig head and this buzz frog. I was fishing it in about 15, 20 foot of water on a rocky point and working it just like a jig that you would work or throw to mimic crawfish or whatever else you're trying to mimic with that jig. Anyways, if you look at this, yep, it's got kind of a frog-like appearance because of the legs, but it's also got a crawfish type appearance. So this just shows you there's some versatility here with this lure. So you can fish it off the bottom like with a jig, literally no skirt, just this and the jig head. This is what they're seeing. There wasn't any grass where I was fishing this where I caught the fish, so I'm thinking the fish saw it and was thinking crawfish. It's got a nice natural color. It's watermelon and a lot of purple fleck right on the top. And it's got these ribs, a lot of texture, and it's salty, so it's good stuff. Anywho, I was thinking, man, you know, there's got to be other ways you could rig this. Obviously, the number one way I think that the makers of this had in mind would be to just throw a Texas rig hook on it without a weight, throw it into the grass, pull it across the grass, pull it across the top of the water. The feet kick and buzz and bubble on the water and make a great gurgly sound. I think you could fish this top water even if it wasn't like directly in the grass, but if it was coming over submerged grass, I think you'd have a lot of success. Obviously, throwing the jig on it will catch you fish. The other thing you could do with this that I thought, I'm sure it's been done, I can't be the only person that's thought of this, was using a bullet weight and just Texas rigging it with your Texas rig hook, whatever you want to call it, and working it around grass lines, punching it into the grass if you got a heavy enough weight, or throwing it into holes in the grass that already exist. The other thing was I was at Bass Pro and I found some more buzz frogs, but I found this is a watermelon crawdad color. So this actually had, this to me looks more like a frog with, you know, because their bellies are going to be a lighter greenish, orangish, yellow type color with green on their back. But it also looks a whole lot more like a crawfish in color to me than this one does. So, you know, throwing this on a jig like this is going to give the bass something, a little something different to look at that maybe they hadn't seen. Again, these feet kick and buzz. You can swim this and get a lot of vibration. There's a lot of different ways you could fish that. So I just thought I'd share that. And I'm also going to include 2 of the 4 or 5 fish that I caught in this video. I'm going to edit that up and excuse yeah, it's not the best quality. I have this. This is for my iPhone that I'm filming this on right now, and I put it in there. It seals it off so it's waterproof, and I literally have it tucked in on my chest to the straps on my life jacket, so it's from right here. So really you're seeing a lot of my hand turning the reel, and obviously you can hear me talk, but I'm gonna go ahead and include that so you can actually see me actually fishing out on Lake Mead. And again, excuse the quality, and I apologize because they were dinks. I caught 4, I think 4 or 5. They were all around 10-inch, all on the spook, silver and chrome. I'm sorry, blue and chrome, silver and chrome. Blue and chrome spook junior to be exact. And yeah, I'm hoping to get some bigger fish on video. So hope you enjoy. There he is. That's definitely a dink. Definitely acting like a little smallmouth. It is. No, it's another largemouth. Man, I need something bigger than this. Come on, son. Shut me again. I don't know, man. I wouldn't mind taking some striper home to eat, but they must be boiling right there because them boats are on top of each other. Golly. Alright, let's see if we can get this fish to hit. Come on. Right there. Get him. Got him. I think it's a little one, but yeah, he ain't very big. But we got this one on video. Yeah. Them daggum. Oh, that's a largemouth. And no, he ain't very big. But hey, that's fish. See, this is why they look at this. Are you kidding me? No wonder.